doesn't matter how good you are. It doesn't matter how beautiful you are. I'm good enough comes in different forms. I'm not worthy. I could be better. I'm no good. I don't deserve X, Y, or Z. I'm a failure. But before we go beating ourselves up further with these thoughts, let's consider how we can use the work of Byron Katie to question core beliefs like this. Here are 3 ways to work I'm not good enough. One is use a specific situation. 2, judge the person you're comparing yourself to. And 3, question your proof. The first one, use a specific situation. The problem with beliefs like I'm not good enough is that they're so vast, and vast, abstract concepts are more hard to work. The mind likes concrete situations and examples so it can really understand the meaning of a concept. When you say, I'm not good enough, in a general way, it can be very hard to understand what you mean by that. But if you wait until a situation arises where you actually catch yourself thinking, I'm not good enough, it can be much easier. So that's one way to work the thought, I'm not good enough. Find a specific situation when you believed it and work the thought from there. But there's an even better way. The second way is to judge the person you're comparing yourself to. How did you get this belief in the first place that you're not good enough? In my experience, it comes only when I compare myself to someone else, even if it's to an imaginary ideal person. So if you want to work on I'm not good enough, you might consider writing a Judge Your Neighbor worksheet on the person you compare yourself to. For example, let's say you're not good enough as a student. You can write a Judge Your Neighbor worksheet on a fellow student who you think is better than you. And I might add another way that's kind of related to this. Instead of judging the person you're comparing yourself to, you could also judge the person that you're trying to please. So maybe as a student, you're trying to please your mom or your dad. And so you can write a Judge Your Neighbor worksheet on your mom or your dad and write down all of the thoughts that you are thinking about them wanting you to do very well and then you not living up to that in some way. So that would be like a kind of another way of working with I'm not good enough. And finally, there's a third way, or maybe it's a fourth way now, called question your proof. And if you want to question the thought, I'm not good enough, you can start by listing off all of your proof of why you think you're not good enough in that particular situation and get really specific. There can be some really specific reasons. And when you look for it, sometimes it's actually hard to find those reasons because the mind is really just kind of doing this general, oh, I'm not good enough thing. And there may, it can be kind of a bluff sometimes, which is interesting to discover. But in any case, you may find some specific reasons. And if you question those reasons as being why you're not good enough or those as being not good, then you may find that the overall idea of not being good enough starts to crumble. So I'm not good enough is a tough thought to question. We all have it in different forms, and it's a very big, general, stressful thought. And generally, in my experience, it comes down to being a secondary thought. I'm not good enough is how I react when I believe that someone is better than me, when I'm comparing myself to someone else, or when I'm trying to please somebody and I'm unable to do that. So, primary, most important way to go with this, in my experience, is to write a Judge Your Neighbor worksheet on the person you're comparing yourself to or on the person you're trying to please. But you can also do some freeform work. Just use a really specific situation. And if you have any proof of why you're not good enough, question that as well.